What's up guys, today on Rebels Off-Road we are going to be finding out what is wrong with our Kawasaki KRX transmission. So a while back ago we were at Windrock Park and we started noticing that on uphill climbs in high gear it felt like there was like a gear skip, like a tooth was skipping, kind of like a lurch and a bang, and then a ratcheting sound at the worst case. It happened a couple times that way, but it was only in high gear. This one was happening while it was going uphill. And we were on paved road. We noticed it most on paved road. I'm not sure if that's because it's smoother, so that kind of lurch, that bang sound was more noticeable, or if it was happening during the rocky sections and we just didn't notice it, or if it has something to do with the grip on the pavement. But in any case, we pulled the dipstick or the drain plug. We have magnetic drain plugs available on our website. We had the magnetic drain plug pulled and there was shards of metal and gear chip teeth looked like and stuff like that. I'll probably post a picture right here so you can see what I'm talking about. But really, really bad. I'm really happy that we didn't have that circulating in the transmission because that could have caused additional failures, but we don't know the extent of the damage yet. So we're gonna go ahead and open this case up and see if we can diagnose what's going on with it.
It ain't got no gas in it.
Hopefully you can learn something from or tearing this apart because frankly, I'm not sure what's going on with it. This is a 2021 and I've heard other people have this same issue with the 2021, so maybe it's something to do with the gears. But in any case, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna open it up. Go ahead and smash that like button to subscribe for more great content. Let's get into it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and split the case. Probably a 12 millimeter, yeah, 12 millimeter there. So we're gonna go around and hit all of these ones all the way around the perimeter of the case. Gonna go ahead and use our Milwaukee impact drive. Make short work of it. So go ahead and remove those. Make sure they're all the same size so we don't have to do anything special with them. So far, all of these are the same size, all the 12 millimeter ones at least. Missed one right here, I think. Nope, that's a different size. All right. So you're gonna set these where we won't lose them. All of those were the same size, so we won't have any confusion throwing it back together. I think these are probably gonna be a 14. Yep, 14. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14 millimeter. I imagine these are going to be all the same size as well. All right, all the 14 millimeters are the same size as well. So we're going to set that as a pile over here. And now we should be able to split the case. So if you look around, so there's these little forked tabs. That is for splitting the case. We're going to work our screwdriver in between there and split it. There's gonna be some more. So we already drained the fluid on this, but there will be some leftover fluid. Of course, we'll drain out. We'll have to clean it up, but you want to just go around each of these spots, probably gently, trying not to nit any of the machine surfaces. Something I just realized, these bushings, go ahead and pull one of them out. Looks like will help us out. These are the Class 1 Motorsports transmission mount bushings, and they look just as good as the day I put them in there. Just a little dirty, but make it easier on you getting this split the rest of the way. So just noticed that was kind of hanging us up, so I'm gonna put that off the side. Turn this around. Nothing glaringly wrong with the bearings. Move freely. Now we're gonna have to clean up everything, of course, as we go, but that looks good. All right, there's this spring here. It goes right there. We're gonna make sure that doesn't get lost. Gonna put that over there behind here. Let's see if we can pull some of these gears apart. Well, this is the final gear, or the spool gear. Just looks a little dirty. That's from us splitting the case. That all looks pretty good. Okay. Set that down back there. See this gear back here? It's got some little shims. Ooh, shit. Okay, so it has a shim on the top right here. But there's also a little roller bearing. Let's get in there. So you can see there was another little shim and that roller bearing that just popped out. So we don't want to lose that. Let's go ahead and get the order right. So that shim goes there. And this little cage bearing. Okay. Little cage bearing. Okay. So that goes like that. And that goes like that. Little assembly fits down in there. Okay. And that one lines up with the pin here. So let's pull this pin. Oh, that's good. C-clip's still there. Put that back. Don't need to mess with that right now. All right, so we actually found the first problem, and that is, I don't know if you can see in there, there's a little clip there that's not in the groove. If you can see through there, this gear has walked up. And so, look at that. Those gears are not meshing properly. So that's the first issue. You can see that those are not meshing properly. So that's definitely an issue. I have a sneaky suspicion that that is not the only issue with this transmission, but that is definitely an issue. That will create a whining noise and a bunch of other just bad characteristics of a transmission. So gonna need to get that taken care of, but we're gonna continue tearing it down and see what else we can find. I believe this also on the later transmissions gets fixed with a different gear. So we may have to look into doing that. So I found another issue, and I think this is the one that was actually causing that ratcheting or that slipping. So if you see here, this is kind of a cog, and when you shift, it pushes this into it and engages this gear here. Well, there's another one down in there for high gear. This one's for low gear. The one back there is for high gear. And I doubt you can see it down in there with enough lighting, but maybe I can get the camera set up with some lighting. Basically, the gear right here, it's supposed to be a nice sharp edge so that this, when it goes down, is a flat surface to mate to. Well, that edge there is rounded off on each of those little cogs. Basically, what I'm thinking is the cog wasn't fully engaging, and so then it slipped and it rounded that edge, and that was that kind of boom, like the kind of jolt was because it was skipping a tooth on that cog. And then those ratchets was when it slipped a tooth and then slipped another tooth and another tooth, because once you have that momentum going, it's gonna, keep on skipping if that lever isn't all the way engaged. So I'm thinking that's what's going on with it. And I'm gonna get a light so you can see, but if that is the case, we gotta figure out why it wasn't fully engaging, why it wasn't fully locking that cog to the gear. And obviously that gear is gonna need to be replaced. So Two issues that we found so far: the gear mesh because of the clip bending, and then the cog not engaging properly. So, you know, we're gonna have to sort through this, figure out what we're gonna do. But, you know, if you're having the issue like what we did, this might be your problem as well. All right, got a light set up so you can see down in there, and let's see if I can point it out. So if you go down right there, see right there? That is supposed to be a nice sharp edge, and if the camera focuses, you can see that it's all kinds of rounded off, and that is not what we want. So let's go. See, this is supposed to rotate, and then that cog is supposed to fit down in there when you go to shift, and it's supposed to go all the way down. We can see I'm turning the shifter lever, and let's see if I can actually get it to shift in. So you see how it's shifted all the way down? Now that's where it's supposed to be in high gear. But what I'm suspecting is it didn't actually go all the way, and it was somewhere right about in there, and for whatever reason it wants to hang out there. And so it just, when it gets under load, say going up a hill, it just wants to slip. So it's supposed to be all the way down like that though. And then that would be okay. This is what turns and moves the shifter, these forks up and down. So like this is free because I believe this is in neutral right now. But you know, all this is shifted with this, and there's the fork down there, see it, is for the high gear shifting. So there's also these springs, so you can see this one is compressed, that one down there is free. That is actually providing tension upward to keep it where it's at. And the shifter has like a cam follower that releases tension and allows those forks to move. So what I'm seeing, and I think is what's going on, is that when you move this, like you see how it kind of builds up tension, and then there's this release and it pops. And the spring actually provides the tension to drive it into gear. And so you can see that just drove it into, I believe that was neutral. Yeah. So, or maybe that was reverse. That might have been reverse. Anyways, doesn't matter. The point is, the spring actually forces the fork to stay in the position that it needs to be in, or pops into the position that it needs to be in, and then the gear train takes the rest. So what I want to show you though is when I go into high gear, what happens. So let's rotate it so it lines up. Okay, right there. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop it. Rotate it. Whoop, there it goes. Okay. So now the tension is all on the spring. But if you look down there, there's still a gap between this and the cog. Those are supposed to be driven together and then up against the flat surface. So I think is maybe the spring tension, and now watch, if I just put a little pressure on it, it'll go back down, right? So if I just put a little bit more on it, it'll go all the way down, but will it come back up? Let's see. Yeah, see? Look, I'm just putting the littlest bit of pressure on it and it's coming back up. Because all throughout this area here, it's pretty easy to move it until you get up here and then it pops. So that detent gets popped right here. You see that? There's still that gap. So you have to continue going to there. But any little shift in the linkage, adjustment in the linkage will allow this type of movement, and you wouldn't even know anything about it because that detent. So that's what I think. Now we're going to talk about the differences between the years of the transmission gear train. So over here, we have the exploded diagram of my 2021 transmission. And over here is the exploded diagram of the 2023 transmission, just for the comparison sake. So we're going to talk about the first thing that we noticed that was the problem and kind of evaluate the gears and what changed between the 2 years. So right here is that first thing that we found where the gears weren't meshing properly. We discovered that this little C-clip had kind of bent or kind of gotten out of that groove a little bit and allowed this gear to walk up a little bit, causing improper gear mesh. So let's start with there and we'll see the differences. So let's actually just start right here. The C-clip, right? Notice there's a C-clip here. Over here on the 2023, there is no C-clip. So how can they do that, right? Let's go back on the other side and we will see. So this gear changed between 2021 and 2023. So 2023 added this additional material here, kind of bulked up a little flange area here for this gear to rest against. They also changed this gear to add this additional material here to space out that gear properly. You notice how this has more splined area than this, and then also there's less material here than here. So this actually rests against that, and it spaces this gear out perfectly. Then moving on, this gear changed, and basically you can see this gear is a little bit wider than this gear, and that helps with the gear mesh. And also it's spaced out perfectly so that this gear rests against this gear and it provides that perfect mesh without having any additional shims or anything like that. So then this bearing gets pressed on and that completes that assembly without this clip. And I think Kawasaki recognized that this clip was a potential failure mode. Maybe they were having some issues with it like mine is having. And so they went ahead and eliminated that and opted for this much simpler, much more robust design. So that's one of the issues that we are dealing with. So now for the other issue that we were finding was with this gear here on the back side. You can't see it in this view, but there's that little indentured like groove area that got rounded off. This gear itself didn't change between this year and this year. However, the cog that engages that gear changed. This one had, you can't really see it, there's a little bit of a taper on the cog. And what that allowed for is for it to slip into place. And so on this one, the taper on it was a lot longer than on this year. You can kind of see it, but it's kind of hard to see. Just take my word for it. There's a little bit of a taper on these cogs, and the taper is less on the newer model. So what I think Kawasaki recognized is that taper actually allowed the cog to initially slip. And that's what you're finding when it comes out of gear when you are letting off the accelerator. It slips on that little bevel and it allows it to come out of gear. So I'm not sure if that what happened initially to mine and then led to the rounding off of the edge. Maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure. But in any case, this gear changed between these 2 years, and I believe that would affect how it would mesh with this gear. So potentially this would solve that issue as well. All right, now coming to the final piece of it, which is the shifting mechanism. This is the 2021 and this is the 2023 again. And on first glance, they look exactly the same, right? You have 92145A for the springs, which kind of would surprise you, right? However, you go down into the actual part number and you will notice that 92145A spring on the 2021 is unavailable.
Interesting. Let's go over to the 2023. Ooh, look at that. It's a new part number. See, this changed. So Kawasaki looked at this spring and said, hey, something's up with this. We're going to upgrade it to this spring. And I think that's what we were seeing, was the spring force of this spring wasn't enough to keep that cog engaged in that groove. And so, of course, if it's allowed to have that play under load, it might, push against that spring. And if it pushes against that spring hard enough and there's enough force on that cog, it could slip and round off that edge, and then it will just get worse and worse until you start having the type of symptoms that we did.
All right, it's Tuesday morning. I'm actually on the way to the Kawasaki dealership to drop off the transmission. Kind of determined that because of what was damaged, it may actually fall under a warranty claim. Now, my machine is way out of warranty, but Kawasaki knows that some of these issues are kind of a known problem, and so they've been taking care of it for some people. So we're gonna go ahead and drop off this transmission and see if they cover it, and we will let you know. We will update you later. But yeah, basically found the issues, and they are known issues that Kawasaki has found fixes for in the later models. So ours is a 2021. I believe in the 2023 they fixed all of these issues. So just throwing that out there. If you have a 2021 and you start having these issues, there is a fix, there is an update that Kawasaki may do, and you may get lucky and it'll be a warranty repair. Now, you will have your machine down for a few months probably, but there is a repair out there. All right, that's it for today's video. Go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe if you found this useful, if it helped you diagnose some of the problems that you're having with your transmission, and it helps you out make those decisions. Also, check out our website where we have some of the best parts for Kawasaki KRXs and some of the best tools and merch and stuff like that. We'll post a link down in the description where you can check that out, and we will see you next time.
Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning.